Okay, so welcome to everybody here, all our participants. Today we are having a very important discussion on a globally celebrated day, and that is World Read Aloud Day. Firstly, I am Dunstane Davis. I'm a librarian in Sierra Leone and currently working at the Sierra Leone Library Board. I'll be your moderator for today's discussion. As I was saying, we will be talking about World Read Aloud Day. Okay, and World Read Aloud Day is globally celebrated every first Wednesday all around the world. And research has proven that reading aloud is very key to children's literacy development because it enables them to learn, it enables them to understand new concepts. It also improves on their vocabulary and even their speech development. So with us, we'll be having two key speakers that are going to help us understand the how and whys of World Read Aloud Day. And AFLIA has been really interested in ensuring that public and community libraries engage their children and patrons in reading aloud activities. And so far, we have most public and community libraries that are having story hours and other reading sessions within their facilities. So today we are here to ensure that as we are preparing to celebrate World Read Aloud Day 2024, we are all going to be equipped to know how to go about reading aloud and how can we make it more interesting and more vibrant in our facilities. I will go on to introduce our panelists. We have Sipetha Jini with us. Sipetha Jini is a librarian in Zimbabwe, and she has a master's degree in library and information science. And not only that, she has over 20 years of experience working in the library, most especially working with public and community libraries. And so today she'll be discussing with us what she understands about World Read Aloud Day. And our other panelists here with us is Sepsile Mamba. Sepsile Mamba is a librarian at the Manzini Public Library in Eswatini, and she also has a wealth of experience working in various departments in the library, including the cataloging department, the bindery, the children's library. She has moved all around the various departments in our library, and so she has a wealth of experience. And one thing you should also know about our panelists today is that they are graduates from the AFLIA's Early Literacy Development course. This course has been equipping librarians to ensure that they know how to deal with young children within the library facility. I'd like to announce that this session will be recorded and uploaded to AFLIA's YouTube channel. And attendees who have questions should post them using the Q&A feature on the Zoom app. I would like to start with Sipetha Jini. Are you there, Sipetha? Hello, Sipetha, are you with us? Okay, I am not sure whether she's on. Sipetha?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can, loud and clear, Sipetha.
Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, so we have a theme for this year. It says, tell me, I will hear, show me, I will see, read to me, I will see, hear, and learn. Sipetha, why the theme for this 2024 Read Aloud Day by AFLIA? Can you explain more about the theme for this year?
Okay, thank you, Dustin. The theme of this year is such a comprehensive theme as it expresses different sentiments that actually occur when one is reading to someone. You may tell me something, a story that I will hear, but may forget in a few moments later. Or you can show me something. It can be an image. It might not be appealing to my eye, but if you read once to me, well, reading has that effect of being sentimental. It conjures up pictures in one's mind. It also stimulates the body in expectancy of what is to come. The mind opens up to capture new words, phrases. Reading to someone does really capture the mind and the soul of the listener. I believe that this theme is pregnant with meaning and befits this World Read Aloud Day promotion. It is truly to the mind what exercise is to the body. That's my take of this theme. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to throw the same question to Sepsile Mamba concerning the theme. The theme it contains a lot of things. It says that if you read to me, I'll be able to see, hear, and learn. Sepsile, what's your take on the theme? Why the theme? Another question I would like you to answer is what do you think are the best practices of reading aloud? Sipetha?
Hello, Dustin. Yeah, there are many ways of killing a cat, and so are the practices of reading aloud. The reader should always strive to provide a conducive environment for reading. That's the first instance. It is so ideal to let the listener choose their book. But if and when there is a reason for the reader to choose their own book, maybe in expression of a topic of the subject, then they should consider some of these strategies. During a read aloud session, one should encourage the child to get involved by describing pictures in the book or by predicting what could happen in the story. Also, the reader should ask questions from the listener or inquire more about their responses. Instead of asking closed questions, they should ask more open-ended questions, which will prompt the listener to provide more answers. For example, asking questions like, what do you think will happen in the story now? What do you think this character is going to do next? And also, a reader should praise and encourage the child, especially when they have pronounced new terms properly. Children need to be encouraged so that they gain more confidence in reading. And also, another strategy in reading aloud, one should not take too long reading a story or a book. Children lose interest very fast. And so it is okay to stop in the middle of a book if you realize that they would have lost interest. There's no need to bore them down, but you need to keep them captivated throughout reading. Also, children enjoy read aloud stories that will be prepared, that will be repeated phrases. For example, we've got the story of the funny bones. It has so many repetitive sentences. And if a child reads such a book or that such book is read to them, they enjoy to listen to the songs and they will rhyme along with the song. And that will keep them captivated throughout the reading session. Also, it's important that even if a reader finds a new song or a new rhyme in a book, they should try and find a tune for that. Try to make it high sounding, or even ask the children to provide a tune for the rhyme so that they maintain the momentum. It is also vital that you promote the use of materials that you already have on stock, like taking a book from the library shelf while the children are watching you. Instead of keeping it in your office and then bringing it later, they might think that on the shelf they are not interested in it. So always get a book from the shelf that you would have prepared earlier and make sure you read it to them. Also, it is ideal to start an early literacy session with local languages instead of moving straight into a foreign language. Start with your local language, which is more familiar to them, and then you gradually go into the foreign languages. And finally, I would say which is most important, always listen to your voice as a reader. Listen to your voice when you are reading. Maybe you can start by practicing on your own, record yourself while you are reading a story, and then you listen to it. Ask your friends to listen to it. Feel the vibe in your voice. Make sure you are captivating. Don't maintain a flat voice, but make sure as you read along, change your voice along with the characters to make it more captivating. And I believe by doing so, you'll keep the children captivated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sipetha. From what you said, I believe that I was able to pick out key things. You said interaction. Interaction is key when engaging children in reading aloud sessions, because you have to ensure that they are following up with what you are doing. They should not be sitting down bored and disconnected from the activity. And also, yes, it's very important to choose stories that are engaging. You mentioned stories that have songs and the likes, and that is very important because it should not be boring. It should not be a one-sided affair, like you're saying. It has to be engaging. The children have to be singing songs, probably getting up to dance, and then continue with the reading. That's very good. And more so, local languages. We cannot talk about reading aloud and we leave out local languages. Thank you very much for that. I think we have Sepsile. Sepsile, are you here with us now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, welcome. So
Thank you
we
so
have
much.
been discussing on the theme, this year's theme, and it's saying that you should tell me how will hear, if you show me how will see. But then if you read to me, it goes beyond that. I will not only see here, but then the child is going to learn from what you're saying. So we want to hear your own view about this year's theme.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Uh, I thank you so much. So, World Read Aloud Day, I go with the theme. The theme emphasizes the importance of reading together as a community or family. Reading aloud, because reading aloud builds vocabulary. Expressive reading, because as you read aloud, you express yourself, so the kids get excited as you model yourself as the one reading. It helps the children to recognize what reading for pleasure or what reading aloud do to them. It's all about that. It also exposes children to books and authors. That's what I can say.
All right, thank you very much. We've already talked about ensuring that your read aloud sessions are very interactive, to also include local languages while reading to children, and even also to ensure that when you are selecting your books for read aloud session, you have to be very selective, ensuring that your books are interactive in nature. So what more can you add to that? What are your best practices when reading aloud to children?
Yes. I've discovered that as I was doing the activity with the kids, I discovered that you have to have enough time to prepare for the activity. uh, we have enough time, and you have to choose stories or textbooks that respond to the children's interest. You also have to preview the book before reading it. As we learned from early literacy, I discovered that children love to see, like you have to choose the picture books with pictures that interest the kids. They love to see pictures which are going to resemble them as for their day-to-day lives in the community at home. So the book you have to choose must be they must be familiar with the pictures so that they can have interest. So it means it must be a picture book. And the book must have their favorite character, a favorite subject. It must be a rhyme book, or a rhyme subject, and an activity book. I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Stepsile. Of course, the books have to be well illustrated. And like you
Yeah.
are saying, they can also be locally published books, because it's in locally published books that they will have pictures that are familiar with their surroundings, their environments and all of that. Thank you very much. Now we are saying read aloud. We have to read aloud to children. But then there are libraries that are having difficulties to bring in children to their facilities, probably because parents are not aware of these activities going on in the libraries, the public and community libraries. So I would like Sipetha, can you please just enlighten us? How can you bring in the children, those who are going to be read to, into our facilities?
As we learned, I'll refer to the course we've been having recently. As we learned that from early literacy course, as we learned that the library must be welcoming. It must, the environment must be attractive. So it is good that the library is built in a way that when the kids are away or they are at school, they keep on thinking about that beautiful picture on the wall. And then they'll be eager to come to the library. And then when they come into the library, you as a librarian or a library staff, you have to have a welcoming smile. You have to be good to them. You have to be kind. Welcome them in a way that when they come to the library, they always want that to see that auntie who was good to us yesterday. I can refer to an act that happened on Tuesday. I did a read aloud session. I invited a teacher to come and read to them. So the teacher read to them. They were so excited. And then yesterday, when I knocked off work, I met them by the gate, and they said, "Auntie, today we didn't read. When are you going to do it again?" I told them, so they suggested themselves. I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't get time, so we can have it on Friday." So they are expecting. So by doing that, they are going to invite others to come to the library. And then when the parents come to collect the kids after hours, because some they come to wait for their parents in the library. So the parents, when they come, you can also talk to the parents about reading aloud, encourage their parents to read for them at school, because they like it when you read to them. It teaches them a lot of things, and then each one of them will want to read also in order to imitate that teacher who did it very well. So I think that attracts them, the kindness, and then having the books relevant to their day-to-day life, and doing it differently from the way they do it at school. It also encourages them to come to the library. Like when choosing the books, you can choose some with plays, because they like playing very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Sebsile. I would like to hear from Zimbabwe, and that's Sipetha. Sipetha, are you with us? We are all in Africa. What works in one African country can definitely work in another. So we are sharing these ideas. How do you do it in Zimbabwe? How do you encourage these children to come into your library?
Okay, thank you, Dunstan. Looking at this question, I think For starters, we can say bringing children into the library is not a challenge at all, but rather keeping them in the library is the challenge. For starters, we know that children are explorers and they cannot stay away from something that is attractive or beautiful or even a dangerous obstacle. Naturally, I've seen children knocking off from school and racing straight into a library. And once they get there, how does the librarian teach them? How do they welcome them? First, the attitude of the librarian towards the children will determine if they will come back again tomorrow. If they are harsh, unfriendly, or just nasty to them, the children won't come back again. Also, their approach. Children need to be approached with love, with caution. Don't approach them as if like you are seeing something that will spread diseases to you. Children need to be embraced. Also, when you welcome them into the library, be cheerful to them. Ask their questions, ask about their friends, try to know something about their family, their interests. It shows that you've got something in common with them. You are welcoming them to your environment. Also, once they are there, take them to a tour around the library, especially the new children who have come for the first time. Orient them. Also, user education is important. Don't just be quick to rebuke them and saying, you put the books to the wrong shelf. Don't do this and that. But first educate them on how they should behave around the library. And that will give them confidence in maneuvering around the library. And now, once you have taken all these steps to keep them in the library, then you need to provide them with activities that will occupy them. Do you have a routine of activities that you have, or you just, as a librarian, you just think of half-hours activities? Do you let them fall into a pattern of events, or they just come in and go as they will? It's important that you have an activity chart, like something like this, that we have here at Shabalala Library. It is an activity chart that covers the whole week with different activities for each day. And so every child comes expecting to find the activity that is on the chart to be taking place on that day. And that keeps them very captivated and entertained. Also provide something like games. Don't just give them books and ask them to read books. Go closer to them, see whatever they are reading, find out if they are understanding whatever they are reading. Show an interest in everything that they will be doing. And then that will keep them captivated. And when there are no kids coming into the library, let's say taking for a case that someone is saying there are no kids coming into the library. For the first instance, I was referring to the comment that how can the library get children into the library? And I was saying like children automatically come to the library, but they are sometimes chased out of the library by the situation that they find. Now, let's say the library doesn't have children who are coming. Now, the librarian should go out into the community. Go to the schools, address some assemblies at schools, talk to the teachers, all other stakeholders. Also go to churches, visit the churches and talk to Sunday school. Look for places where you find children. And also don't just go there as a mere librarian. Take pamphlets with you, take pictures of the library, of the activities that you do in the library. And then that will entice the parents and the children to come into the library. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we are still talking about reading aloud to children, we also have with us a speech therapist. She is a Lebanese speech therapist who is working remotely as she is currently residing in Nigeria. She has been working with various clinics, helping children develop their speech and language as whether they're having difficulties, helps them to ensure that they grow out of that situation. So with us today, we have Sarah Hamadi. Is Sarah with us, please? Hello, Sarah, are you with us? Yes. Welcome to this discussion. We are talking about reading aloud, how librarians engage children in reading in the library. So as a speech therapist, what can you say about the importance of reading in ensuring that children develop their speech?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for this very important webinar. It stresses the importance of reading aloud to children, specifically in libraries. So this event is very meaningful and important. So as a speech therapist, I work with children who have speech difficulties, who have language difficulties and difficulties in expressing themselves. So reading aloud to them is very important. And now let me highlight something very important, that reading aloud to children, whether they have language difficulties or they do not, it is still very important and it has benefits for all children with the difficulties or without them. So first of all, to begin with, as we all know, reading aloud to children exposes them to rich vocabulary. So these children will learn how to acquire new vocabulary, rich vocabulary, depending on the theme, as one of the speakers mentioned, that the books should be specific to their environment, to their culture and tradition. So because at the end of the day, when they want to express themselves, they're going to express themselves and talk about things that matter to them or that are relevant to them. So reading aloud helps them learn these new vocabulary words. And second of all, when we read aloud to our children, they are being exposed, they are hearing the proper pronunciation of the words. They are hearing the correct intonation of words, of sentences. So for example, if the book has a question, what is John doing today? They're listening to the correct intonation, how we ask a question, which is very important. And they're also learning, they're hearing the rhythm of the language. So this serves as a model for the correct language usage, so which contributes to the development of their own speaking skills. In addition to that, hearing stories, it presents like sentence structures. So for example, let's say the child cannot build a proper sentence if he has a speech difficulty. Hearing hearing in the stories the correct sentence structure will help them grasp this concept for their own speech. And in addition, the last thing I'm going to add is that when children listen to stories, they are being exposed to various social contexts. So various interactions that may happen, so they can relate to their own daily life. So this promotes the development of something called the pragmatic language skills. So they learn appropriate language use in different situations. So for example, if we are reading a book to them about sharing their toys or sharing anything else, they can apply what they just heard in the book to their daily life. So they will learn to share with their friends, they will learn to share their toys with their siblings, and so on. So reading aloud, finally, I will conclude by saying that reading aloud, some people may see it as just a simple activity, but actually it's a very powerful tool for nurturing the skills of the children, improving their attention, and stimulating their imagination, and so on. So thank you all again for having me, and I'm ready to hear any questions, if anyone has any question.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah. That
Welcome.
was really brilliant. And I'm sure that, yeah, we'll take questions very soon. I'm
Sure.
sure that we have had such experiences because in our library here, in fact, we once had a child who had speech difficulty. You know, he couldn't talk. By the time he was 3, getting on to 4, he still couldn't talk well, but he still kept on coming to the library. We encouraged the mother to bring him, and today he's talking. So all those words he
Wow.
had been hearing while we were reading to him, now he's able to say them with time. Yeah,
Very
so
nice.
what you're
That's
saying
very
is indeed
motivating for
correct.
everyone to hear.
We'll get on to questions. Yes. But before we move on to questions, I would just like Sepsile. Sepsile, can you please give us some suggestions on how our public and community libraries can celebrate the World Read Aloud Day, which is coming up on 7th February?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm taken by the presenter who has just gone out. We've got one here who is not able to talk. She's 6 or 7 years. So now I'm getting something. I will try to help her. Oh, thank you. Suggestions on how the community and public libraries will do this day. I think it can be done by, it can be advertised by posters, pamphlets or leaflets through social media or by verbal information. Like in our case, the community libraries will celebrate at their places. We won't come together. So it was said that the community, some libraries will go to nearby schools, preschools, and here in Swaziland we have Inkudla centers. So some will gather some community kids there to read to them. And then some will go to hospitals, and here in Manzini, it will be celebrated by cooperating with the town council, with the city council. There will be a gathering somewhere in some venue, and then will come together, and then someone who is like a CEO or the city mayor will read a story to the kids by inviting an influential person. So I think that's the way it can be done, and it will be done that way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Does Sipeta have any more suggestions to that?
Oh, yes, maybe adding on to what Parisile has already highlighted. Maybe first listen to this joke here. It's like my husband is a head teacher in a certain school, and in their school they've got WhatsApp groups which they used to update each other as teachers. And in that group there is a district school head who is the inspector and who supervises them. So it happened one day that this other head teacher posted pictures of himself high up there in a classroom, and he was fitting a piece of solar panel on top of the roof. And then he captioned the picture saying, "Here we're fitting our mobile laboratory." And then so the DSI commented and said to him, "Wow, that is thinking without a box." Like when I saw that comment, when the DSI said that is thinking without a box, you know, I just laughed without stopping. All I'm saying to you, dear librarians and fellow librarians, is that you don't need to think without a box, but you already have the box. Only what you have to do is think outside the box, not without the box. Starisila has already highlighted how people can celebrate, and I can suggest that go to schools, librarians, read aloud to children at assembly. Go to jails. There are children in jails there with their parents. They hunger for information. They hunger for knowledge. They hunger for people to read aloud to them. Go to the jails. Read aloud to them. You know, orphanages. They are waiting there. Let's just visit them and go and read aloud to them. You can also invite children to our own libraries and make the sessions very captivating. You know, let's look for costumes. Dress up for the occasion. Don't just be your normal self. Think outside the box. You know, I know public libraries don't have budget enough to buy all those things. But as a librarian, take an initiative, do something, think outside the box. You know, you can imagine when you've got that captivating scene, when you're acting out and the children are listening to the story, it just will stick into their mind. Thank you.
Please, I'm encouraging participants to put in your questions in the Q&A section. We will get on to answering your questions right now. We have one question already from Patricia Mukasire. She's asking, how do you handle a special needs child to enjoy read aloud, especially if he or she has no interest and not willing to listen? Probably Sarah, are you with us? Can you answer to that question, please?
Yes, yes, I'm here. So that's a very important question. Thank you for asking that. The first important thing, of course, this is something challenging, but first of all, it's very important that we make this reading experience to the child enjoyable. So he should really enjoy it. So the first thing we can do is we can choose books that interest the child. So let's say the child is interested in, I don't know, like a specific character, Spider-Man, for example. So we can choose a book about Spider-Man, have many pictures in the book, very clear pictures of the actions that are going on. So the child will actually be interested to see what we're giving them. So not just bring any book and just read it to them if they're just, of course, they're not going to focus or be attentive. And the second important thing is that the reading session should actually be short, you know, especially if the child may have a limited attention span. So we can keep the session very short, and also while we are reading, we have to change our intonation so we can keep the child's attention with us. And finally, we can also use visual support if the child has like special needs. So we can use pictures or charts or like storyboards to help in the comprehension process if the child may not be really understanding. So, or like they may not process the language correctly. So we can use like a kind of visual support for the child to understand what's going on in the story.
Okay, thank you very much. We have
You're
another
welcome.
question from Dick. Dick is asking, how do we cater for special education pupils to read aloud and effectively? How can we cater for them in our library?
Okay.
Probably, yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been wanting to say that some of these things have already been mentioned, like being selective with resources and, you know, encouraging them. But maybe he also wants to know again from the medical perspective, like, you know, what can be done to ensure that they read aloud and effectively.
Sure. Other than what we just mentioned, as I also said, the session should be short. So it's not like, let's say, if the regular session for reading aloud for normal children is 30 minutes, we can adapt it to make it like 10, 15 minutes. It depends on the children's attention, as I said. And we can also adapt material. So, for example, we can use books with large font, with more pictures, and with short and simpler languages. We can also use books that have like sensory, they have the sensory material for the children to touch. So some books, they are interactive books, you know, the ones that have the specific material so the children can touch. And so here we're having a multisensory approach while reading. And finally, it's very important to make the environment comfortable for the child. So let's say if we are in the library, we should not have too many people speaking around them. we can minimize the background noises. We can just tell everyone to keep their voices down or have the room only for ourselves, so the children will not be really distracted. So it will create a comfortable environment for them in order to.
Thank you, Sarah.
Can I ask a question, please?
Ajayi.
Hello, Don.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Yeah, I'm just
Okay, go ahead, John.
I'm just wondering, Sarah spoke about books and so on. I'm wondering, how about comics? Why I'm thinking about that, the pictures, the actions, so many characters there that you can change your voice when you want to read as maybe Spider-Man, and when you want to speak as the bad guy and so on. So what do you think about that? Comics, for especially kids that have short attention span, because it happens.
Comic books is actually a very interesting way to engage the children. As you said, because there's like short conversations, there are more pictures, so that would actually be a very good way to engage these children. So yeah, I definitely agree. That's a great idea of comic.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for answering to Doc's questions. We have Ajayi. How do you determine books that will interest the child? Probably Sepsile will want to answer that quickly, and maybe we'll take one more question and wrap up. How do we determine books that will interest the child? Sepsile, please. Hello, Sepsile, we can't hear you.
As we work in the library on day-to-day basis, we know our communities, our surroundings, so you can know what what is the interest of the public. So you go by that. As it is said that the story must reflect their own experiences. So when the children see themselves reflected in the story, their self-esteem is uplifted, and their eagerness to learning how to read and write increases. So it is determined by the way by our day-to-day experiences.
We are handling our very last question for today's session.
Hello, Don. Please, can I
just add?
All right. I wanted to add to what Sepsil said. You see, every child is curious. Even a child that has reading difficulties, even a child that is lying down on the hospital bed, even a child that has no interest in anything. One thing you know is that every child is curious. They want to know, what is that? And if you can find stories that can let a child know things, or maybe when you're reading it, you create that curiosity, you find out that the child will enjoy it. But the important thing to know is that the story you're going to tell is not all about lessons. Lessons are great too, but telling it to the child or reading it to the child in a way that will stir up questions that are curiosity. You could just read about a dragon and you ask, can a dragon be blue? And the child will say, blue, no, it has to be. You say, no, can it be red? Just something that will make a child be curious. That's really a point I wanted to make. Thank you. Over to you, Sarah. Thank you.
Yes, actually, I just wanted to add something, just a very short answer to the question that was, how do we determine the books that will interest the child? Simply, we can, as you guys, the librarians, we can simply ask their parents, so what are they interested in at home? What do they play with? What do they watch? And we can take it from there. And also we can, in the library, we can just see what kind of books they go and look for, or what kind of books they search for to read or to look at the pictures, for example. So that is how. So we can ask their parents, or we can just observe them at the library.
So Patricia again is asking how to handle children that are unable to see, to enjoy read aloud, because we've been talking about books, pictures. So how about those who can't see? What can we do for them?
Simply, we can use audiobooks. Audiobooks are now very common nowadays, and there are a lot of free websites that offer audiobooks. So even if they cannot see, they can still access and enjoy listening to the books. This is they are completely visually impaired, so they cannot see at all. They can just simply, we can put an audiobook that is interesting to them. So if they can see, but they have some difficulties, we can make the font, as I said before, very big. So have large print books, or the pictures can be also large. And also, as I mentioned before, we can have some sensory stories. So, but the library needs to arrange these, I think, beforehand for those with the visual impairment. These like books, they have tactile elements, maybe sounds, so just to make it more interactive. But I would really recommend the audiobook.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Just when it's about getting so interesting and exciting, we have to go because we can't say it all in one day. But I believe that we'll continue this type of discussion to share ideas and learn from one another. But we've learned a lot today, definitely from
Yeah, just a permission to ask one more question. There's a question here I believe is quite interesting to look at.
Okay.
Mrs. Smith, the question is about what do you do, let's say when you're reading a storybook that has reptiles in it and there are kids who are afraid of reptiles. What do you do? How do you go about that? It could be any animal, or it could be any that the kids are not very comfortable with. How do you go about such situations? I think and allow the panelists to really respond.
So someone can respond, please. Sepsile, you want to respond to that?
Hello? I didn't get the question well. I'm sorry.
Oh, Stanley was just asking how to handle children that are scared of certain animals that are found in these picture books. For instance, probably there's a reptile, a lion, a very scary animal in a book. And then you want to read aloud that book to the children, and a particular child, or probably the children are all scared about that picture book. So what can be done in that situation?
I think you can choose another book which they are interested in, as we said that we have to select books that the kids are interested in. I think you can just put aside that book and choose another one. Or else you cannot show them the pictures and just read aloud.
Can I help with this one?
Okay.
Can I help with this one?
Yes, please. Okay.
When kids are afraid of something, it's because of something that they've heard, it's because of their perception, maybe something they've watched on TV and so on. But you may be surprised that not all the kids there are afraid of that reptile, for example. Like Sepsil said, yes, you can choose another book. But you can also, if you see or you ask, let's say you want to start your read aloud session, and you say, we are going to read about crocodiles today. Who knows what a crocodile is? From there, you begin to now hear or see or know the people, the kids that are afraid and the ones that are not afraid. And the ones that are not afraid can be made to touch the picture in the book. It doesn't bite. Is in the book, it doesn't bite. Why am I giving this example? When I was working in the children's section of a library, there was a child that came in, and we read the story of a horse to the boy. The child had never seen a horse before, except on TVs. When we got to that point and he saw the horse, he took the book from us, kept it on the floor, and put his bum on it. I was riding the horse. That's the one inside the book. Of course, he he tore that page, but we understood that he didn't know about, he couldn't make the distinction between real and what is in that book. So if we could also kind of apply that kind of thing so that those that are not afraid can say, hey, that's the crocodile, I can touch it, it's inside a book, it can't bite me. You know, maybe it will give the others the courage to listen to that story and to know that it's a story, it can't bite you. But what if you see a real crocodile? What happens? What do you do? Run! You know, that kind of thing. And the child will situate the story the child will know the distinction between fantasy, you know, and real life concerning that thing he or she is afraid of. And maybe I made sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Inkem. You made a lot of
Can I add
sense back
one more
there.
thing
Yeah.
to the answer? It won't take long.
Okay.
Okay, so in addition to what the other speakers said, let's take the crocodile example. So today we're going to read a story about crocodiles. Before beginning to read it, we can share some interesting information about the crocodiles. We can explain how they help us, how they what is their role in nature and their unique characteristics. So when the children understand more about the subject, this will decrease their fear about the crocodiles, for example.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Well, I believe that we've all learned a lot today. We've got a better understanding of what the World Read Aloud Day celebration is all about. And I believe we are already excited to participate on that day in our various libraries, in our various countries. And I'm sure that you've also learned ways to engage the kids, how to make sure your libraries are conducive atmosphere, they are safe, and you are selecting interesting and interactive books to engage the children with. And more so, we've also been able to learn how what we do in our libraries as librarians can help to boost special needs kids, kids with speech disabilities, kids that we can't see. You know, we can have various things that we can do to ensure that it's an inclusive environment with inclusive activities. Thank you so much. And we are also encouraging you. AFLEA is very much interested in seeing what you're doing in your libraries. Make sure that on that day you post, celebrate and post, showcase your activities, take pictures, videos, post them on your social media handles, and don't forget to tag AFLEA on your post so that AFLEA can also help to share what we do in our countries as librarians. Thank you very much for being with us today, all panelists. You've done a wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you to our wonderful participants. You know, you made it also interesting. Thank you for your interesting questions. We also want to thank our host, obviously, AFLEA. AFLEA has been doing a very good job in ensuring that we know our role as librarians, especially now that we are talking about the SDGs. Libraries cannot be left behind when we are talking about reaching these goals. We also want to take this opportunity to thank everybody that has taken part into this discussion. Please ensure that you share your activities with us. Let's share, let's celebrate, let's announce it. As Doc normally says, let's make noise about it. We should not be quiet. And thank you so much. For me today, I'm leaving here with one quotation. It says, every child is curious. And that's from our wonderful Dr. Inkem Osigwe. Every child is curious. Have that in mind as you engage kids in your library. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. If
Right.
anyone has any more questions, I've added my Instagram. So thank you again. And I will be sure posting about World Read Aloud Day on February 7th on my Instagram. And I will sure mention the AFLIA.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.